Unless we shift the money, we're going to sit financially dependent on the very people who are trying to kill us.
All right, I want to talk to you as a former insider about how you see them rolling this out. Then I want to talk about some solutions. I want to get into your latest article on your website dealing with the finances being cut off. And then phone calls, folks. Your phone calls coming up. Stay with us.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Alex told you the government announced recently that the recession is over. It ended on June of 2009. The millions of Americans unable to find work might not agree. Perhaps the recession ended for the bankers and government employees, but for the rest of us, things seem to be getting worse. Gold and silver haven't heard the news either. They've begun their long-expected journey to the moon. In addition to converting your shrinking dollars into gold and silver, you should consider a food savings account from eFoods Direct. They both make fabulous investments. Food is our greatest dependency, and we know it will be more precious than any financial resource. You and your family need food to survive a crisis, and you can't eat paper, stocks, or metals. Alex has been urging you to invest in delicious, easy-fix meals to enjoy now or save for long-term. This will freeze the cost of your food while you can still afford it. Visit efoodsdirect.com on the internet or call 800-409-5633. That's efoodsdirect.com or 800-409-5633.
You may be arrested and or subject to other police action.
Tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship. Body scanners, sound cannons, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv. Diamond Gusset is proud to announce the anthem of the Patriot Movement. They're offering a free CD, T-shirt, and bumper sticker with a qualifying purchase. Diamond Gusset offers great products at great prices while keeping Americans working.
I'm looking for a factory where a man can feed his family. Not worried about them moving it south, closing the doors and shutting her down tomorrow. I'm looking for America.
We're American and be proud. Go to gusset.com/America.
The land of the free and the home of the brave. Seems like I just woke up one day and it was gone, long gone. But I know in my heart it's still
Again, go to gusset.com/America today.
Back to Catherine Austin Fitz, always informative from Solari.com. Then we're going to go to your phone calls. Nate, Jeff, Corbin, Michael, and George. I'll at least get to those calls. I know they'll be all over the map, but Catherine's got full spectrum analysis abilities, and so we'll love to hear from her on your questions or your quick comments. But please have your questions and comments ready because I want to be able to get to everybody. Before we go back to Catherine, I want to tell you about efoodsdirect.com. That's the letter E, foodsdirect.com. Super high quality, grown right here in America, non-GMO, non-hybrid food, biggest outfit in the nation where I've got my storable foods. I did it by trial and error and found these folks, and they're a great sponsor, and I believe everybody should have food, water, firearms as an emergency backup going into these insane times. Look at what's happening around the world. Never stand in a bread line if you have your own bread. efoodsdirect.com or 800-409-5633, 800-409-5633, efoodsdirect.com. Also, I want to tell you about Safe Castle LLC. You can check them out at www.prepared.pro. That's prepared.pro. prepared.pro, spelled out PREPARED.pro. These folks have been in the readiness business for almost 10 years. Well, they've been a sponsor for about a year, so it is 10 years. They are in the business of selling steel-plated peace of mind. They sell everything you need to be more ready for what's coming down the pike. An incredible website. Check it out. Survival gear, supplies, even steel-plated underground shelters and safe rooms and systems to safely bury your guns. Tell them I sent you. Again, that's prepared.pro for professional crisis preparedness needs. Prepared Pro. That's prepared.pro today. And don't forget the online video bookstore shopping carts at Infowars.com. Your purchase of books, videos, T-shirts funds this operation. We're not funded by the globalists. We're funded by your support. Also, please support our local AM and FM affiliates by spreading the word about them and supporting their local sponsors or sponsoring the show in your area. Okay, going back to Catherine Austin Fitz. Catherine, you got this new article up on Solari that just came out today with some very important information, decapitalizing housing. What do we see in the markets that you talk about things reaching a tipping point or V2, point of no return?
I talked, Alex, when we first started about this shift between bonds and equities. And one of the things that means, given the pressure on the bond market and sort of the end of the bull bond market, is now financing the things we financed with fixed income is now going to shift, and it's going to be much more expensive. And what that means is mortgage financing is going to be much harder to get. It's going to be more expensive, tougher terms and conditions. Now, that's part of policy, a policy determination by, as you would call the globalists, but it's one that would have to happen anyway because of the amount of paper that we've printed and the sort of the day of reckoning being here. So this is very tough news on the housing market. At the same time, we see the federal government, and part and parcel of that is interest rates starting to creep up and the risk that they could go up even much higher. But we see the federal government announcing that they're going to basically liquidate, shut down, or end Fannie and Freddie in some way. So that means tremendous subsidy that's been flowing in keeping the housing market going cut off. And in the decapitalizing housing, I just list a whole lot of other things.
So the other shoe is beginning to drop. The
other shoe is beginning to drop. And believe it or not, one of the big issues is not direct on housing. It's that everybody who's living in housing is experiencing rising expenses and falling income. It's what I call the slow burn. But I was up in Philadelphia for a couple months at the end of the year, and I had one person, very, tiny, lovely little row house. Their utility bill last year was $200 a month. This year it's $800 a month. They're choking. And during all the blizzards, you heard that from all over the country. So that means the cost of maintaining, repairing, heating a home is skyrocketing.
And the head of the energy department said last week they're going to shut down at least 500 power plants. China's building 3 to 5 a week. We can't build new ones. And they're literally saying they're going to bankrupt the coal industry. Whether you like coal or not, that's more than half of our energy. I mean, this is economic warfare, a post-industrial world.
Well, what this means is a tremendous amount of the growth. Most Americans have always thought of their home as an investment. We're going into a world where your home is not an investment, it's a consumption good. It's a consumption good just like, buying a car, okay? Or I don't know, buying a dress, okay? So it's now a consumption good, and a lot of the growth in the value of homes has come from the debasement of the currency and from larger homes. So we've had a massive infusion of federal credit to make mortgage financing cheaper, more accessible, and that's financed everybody having more and more space. Now it's going to reverse and go the other way. And so whether it's the expense part of maintaining and owning a home or the financing or simply the size, what we're going to see is smaller and smaller homes driven by it's going to look like people's preferences. So we're going to see a real reversal of where we've been, and that has a very important strategy or implications to the strategies of most households on what kind of home they're going to have, where they're going to have it, what they're going to pay for it, and how they're going to finance it.
I'll tell you what's incredible, and I want to get your inside baseball take on this, working at the highest levels of government. 2 weeks ago, the White House, about 28 hours, 30 hours after we wrote a report that it was energy policies causing a lot of the blackouts because of increased consumption and not having enough power, And the Texas Reliability Energy Commission agreed with us. Heritage agreed with us in their analysis. The White House actually responded on their front page and said that we were liars. But then the next day, the Energy Secretary comes out and says we're going to shut down a lot of the plants. I mean, it's incredible. Why would the White House respond to us? Are we hitting pretty close to the bone?
They're not concerned with libel law. Yeah, no, I think there's real sensitivity here, and they're, essentially there's tremendous effort being put into keeping the official story going, but the official story is wearing thin, and so I think there's real sensitivity on these issues. Now, what we need for everybody in America to realize, look, you've got to be on one side or the other. Most Americans think that they can stay in the middle of the road, and that's the workable strategy. The reality is, there is no middle of the road anymore. If you look at what's going on, and I just spent a half an hour with a naturopath yesterday, going through the details of what is in the chemtrails and what that does to your body, and what you have to do to try and mitigate it. It's the most, I don't know if you've ever done a show on Morgellons disease, but if you really get down and look at what is being sprayed overhead by the government, and you really face that, it's a real day of reckoning, Alex, because you have to say, well, why am I financing this? Because every one of us, with our money, whether it's where we bank or how we pay our tax, we're financing this.
Yeah, we've gotten so snuggled in with accepting being abused that they can come out and admit they're radiating kids, radiating TSA, shooting people up with syphilis in Guatemala, UN caught giving kids live polio constantly in the news. And it's just, they're killing us for our own good. Let's love the government. I mean, the people running things are literally...
See, I don't think people... my personal experience with most Americans is they're scared. They're scared, and the control is so complete, including through their household income, that they don't see a pathway to do something about it. And that's why it's so important that we be free to talk about it, which is why I'm a member in good standing of the Alex Jones fan club, because, you're leading the conversation, and I think part of it is getting a critical mass of people to face, this is really happening, this is really going on, and we have the power to do something about it. But we have to be prepared to talk about it. We have to be prepared to face it. And the reality is, Alex, we have to be prepared to face our own financial and operational complicity. I mean, we've watched drugs coming into our neighborhood targeted our kids for 50 years. And we've let it go on. And let's face it, a lot of households in our community are financially dependent on killing our own kids. And so...
Well, that was my next point. I mean, I'm sure you saw Bloomberg and AP a few months ago, where one of the biggest banks in the country, Wachovia, admittedly had $360+ billion in just a 3-year period of drug money and owned the planes delivering it around. I mean, what more do we need? I mean...
Well, what we need is a financially practical pathway out of the dependency on all this stuff. And now it's very interesting, when I realized how bad things were in 1998, I said, I have to come clean. I have to I have to withdraw and stop making money from the system. And so I've tried as much as possible to withdraw, so as you, so as many others. We need thousands and thousands of people to realize, we don't have to go along. Another world is possible. Let's start to shift our money, shift our time, shift our attention, put as many degrees of separation between you and the people who are trying to kill you.
And let me throw a quick example out on this and get your take, and we'll go to the phone calls. If you go back 12, 13 years ago or so, no matter where you lived in the country, it was almost impossible to find truly organic food. But as people began to purchase it, it built a market for it. Right. And so now you've got as much choice with organic as you do with the horrible poison stuff, but the system comes in then to change the rules where they don't have to list that salmon is a cross-species chimera clone. Or where they don't have to tell you that some grapes are really GMO. And I see that same thing now in Wisconsin, where they're saying, you know what? we're going to take even more money out of your paycheck and put it in a pension, and it'll run right down out of the hole into the ground. They'll never get. So I see them moving.